guys. I didn't see you there. Again. What an intro, everybody. I'm Nick, as you know, from Pizza Puns. Charlie still isn't here. And today, instead of, reading a book again, what we're going to do today, because we already did that, today we're going to be ranking some Christmas movies. And the Christmas movies not ranking. We're going to be reviewing the Christmas movies. Rankings will be for different types of movies that maybe we'll do in the future. Maybe we won't do it. I don't know. But we're going to be reviewing some Christmas movies. And the 4 Christmas movies we're going to be reviewing today is Home Alone 1 and 2. And then we're going to review Jingle All the Way. And finally, we're going to be reviewing The Christmas Story. Yes. Alright. All classic movies. You've probably seen most of them. Maybe all of them. If not, you were living under a rock for some of them, But, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So, here we go, guys. So first off, we're going to be reviewing the movie Home Alone. So, basically, Home Alone is a movie about, what do you know, a kid being home alone. Ooh, mind-blowing. But, so, the reason why this movie is so good, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, is because of the concept of being home alone for Christmas. So basically the movie is about this kid, Kevin, who is really bad, I guess. He was naughty for a couple of days, stuff like that. And so they're planning this big trip, the McAllister family. And it's him and his brother and it's like sister or something, and it's like his cousins, his uncle and stuff. They're all going on this big trip, right? And what happens is they're getting prepared the night before the trip, and basically Kevin ruins the dinner, the pizza dinner that they have, and so he gets sent up to the attic to think about what he has done. And what he says to his mother is that he wishes he doesn't have a family. And his wish comes true because the parents wake up, find out that they were late for their flight, their booked flight, and so they have to wrangle all the kids and the family together and get them on the plane. But what happens when they get on the plane? The mother, with her motherly instincts, realize is that she left her son at home. She left her son at home. And then the son, Kevin, was his name, he is home alone. And he does all the stuff that a kid does when he's home alone. Stuff that he wouldn't be able to do when he is not home alone, and his parents would probably ground him, And he goes and he does all that stuff, and then he goes and he buys groceries, the typical stuff that you would normally do. And in comes these 2 burglars who are notorious for robbing. Okay, we're just gonna say robbing houses, and they want to rob the McAllister's house because their house is decked out. They're like the richest family. Well, I guess not the richest, but like the richest family in the neighborhood type of thing. And so they want to rob his house. And so at 12 o'clock midnight, they want to rob his house. And so what does Kevin do? He comes up with a plan to make sure that they don't rob the house, and chaos ensues. He takes him to his little fun house full of death traps and staplers and iron and all types of different stuff. And then eventually they go to jail. And that's the movie. And the reason why it's such a classic and it's so timeless is because of the plots of being home alone, and just the nostalgia of being a kid, being home alone. And you do all these things that you wouldn't be able to do home alone, and it's during Christmas time, so he watches The Grinch, you know. He plays with, like, a gun that his brother has, like one of those BB airsoft rifle gun things. And, you know, just has a blast. And the other part of the movie makes it such a good movie is the villains, the burglars, Marv and Harry. And their dynamic is just outstanding. So Marv is like the straight man. He's the brains behind it all. He usually comes up with the operations. And so he is like not like a genius or anything like that, but he's miles smarter than Harry, and Harry is the dumb one. Harry is the one that would do something stupid like get his face burned off with the iron. Stuff like that. And the reason why the whole funhouse works is not because they just decide to happen to do it, like to go inside the house and then the traps. No, it's their banter. It's because Marv and Harry go into the house and they're like, oh, we're gonna get you, and then bam, steps on ornaments, or bam, does this. And it's their reactions that are the priceless part and the part that gets you every single time. And that's why it's so timeless and classic of a movie. And that's why everybody loves it today. And my favorite part of the movie, comedy-wise, is when Harry sees that Marv has a spider, or Harry sees that there's a spider on him. And so, in the movie, Kevin's older brother Buzz has this pet tarantula, right? And the tarantula got out, and earlier in the movie. And so, Kevin sees this, and he puts the spider on Harry's face. And his scream, priceless. His scream is just absolutely priceless. And then it goes on Marv. And what does Harry decide to do? Beat him up with his crowbar. Try to get it off him. It's the funniest thing out of a Christmas movie that I've ever seen. Period. And that's why I love Home Alone. And now we're going to talk about Home Alone 2. Now you may be thinking, oh, peace. What's so great about Home Alone 2? Isn't it just he gets stuck home alone again? No. If you've been living under a rock, then you wouldn't know about the plot. But if you've been living under a rock, you should actually watch Home Alone 1 and 2. They're great movies, but everyone's seen them, so you should too. Good movies. So that's besides the point. So Home Alone 2 is essentially he gets all alone again. Kevin's all alone again. But this time's a little different. So here we go. So you set the scene, right? They're getting prepared for their trip for tomorrow again, right? And there's a choir that happens, right? And Buzz does all this like mean stuff to him, and he beats up Buzz at the choir. And Kevin doesn't apologize. Buzz apologizes for what he did. Kevin doesn't, because he knows that Buzz was lying through the skin of his teeth, and he doesn't like anybody, and he wishes they weren't there again because he gets in trouble again. And what do you know? His wish came true, but not in the way he thought it was going to be. Because he wakes up the next day. Everybody wakes up the next day, and the two parents are the first ones to wake up, and they realize they were late again for their flight. So they try to gather everybody up, not even thinking about Kevin, and they go in the car and they say 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're like, wait a minute, where's Kevin? After they counted, and Kevin pops up and he says, oh, I'm here, I didn't want you to make the mistake from last time, you know what happened last time. And they're like, phew, alright. So they go to the airport, and they're running down to the thing, and Kevin stops for a minute to put his batteries in his camera, and he's behind everybody. And the last person to get on the plane is the dad, before Kevin tries to get on the plane. And Kevin finally runs up to the plane. He says he needs to go on the plane. It's very important. His parents are there. He was home alone before. And the girl says, all right, what the heck, why not? But before he even says anything, all the tickets get scattered everywhere. And she gives him the wrong ticket. Instead of giving him the ticket to Florida, she gives him a ticket to New York. So what happens? He gets on the plane. The plane stops at New York, and he gets off at New York without anybody realizing it. And bam, he's home. He's not home alone, but he's alone in New York instead of being home alone at a house. And so his mother doesn't realize it until they pass the suitcases down, and then they realize that Kevin wasn't actually there, and then they pass the word around that Kevin wasn't there, and she says Kevin wasn't there, and she realizes that Kevin wasn't there. Everybody's just jumping up. What happened? What happened to Kevin? Where'd he go? Because he was there at the airport. Where could he be? He could be anywhere in the world. And they track it down eventually to New York, but that's besides the point. So he's alone in New York, and so this makes for a whole different premise. So he goes and he gets a hotel room, all the works. So he goes to one of the finest hotels in New York, and he gets his dad's card, and he books one of the finest rooms in the hotel. And but before that happens, we see Marv and Harry come back again. They're on this truck, and they're not robbing houses this time. No, their idea is to rob toy stores in New York to get their money, because toy stores are loaded full of money. So they decide that they want to do that, and so they meet up with Kevin, and Kevin tries to run away from them, and then he finally gets to get a hotel, and he goes to the hotel room. And so there's this whole hotel staff, and there's this one guy who believes that Kevin had stolen a credit card from somebody random. And yeah, so he tries to go and investigate to prove that Kevin is the thief. And so you got Marv and Harry chasing Kevin down New York because they found out that Kevin's in New York alone. And then you also got that other guy in the, who's played by Tim Curry, by the way, in the hotel, and he's employing all the staff to go and hunt him down. It's just figured out the whole situation, so he has to go and make scenes and make stuff up on the fly, like he did in the last movie with the polling of the people, you know, make it look like his dad's actually in the hotel room. And then the two burglars say at midnight tonight they're going to rob the biggest toy store in town. And why Kevin's so upset about this, earlier today went to this nice little toy store. It's a big toy store, like the old toy stores in New York used to have, like the big Toys R Us, when Toys R Us was still around, and it was a huge Toys R Us, stuff like that. They had a bunch of toy stores like that in New York, and they just don't have them anymore. And anyways, that's besides the point. But it's like a big giant toy store. It's like picture the Disney store, you know, like the old Disney store from New York. Everybody remembers the old Disney store. It's big, huge, had stuffed animals in the middle of it, something like that, like as a toy store. But basically he goes into the store, and he looks around, and he buys a couple of things from the toy store, and then the guy says that he was giving the money that he makes at the toy store on Christmas Eve to the people at the hospital who don't really get to have any Christmas presents. And he was going to donate it all to that hospital. And that's why Kevin's really upset about them going to steal from that toy store, is because that the people from the hospital won't be able to receive the money. So he makes a plan. So what he does is he remembers that his Uncle Rob has a hotel, well, not hotel, but he has essentially a apartment. And so he goes and he makes his whole plan up, does all these like little tricks that he does from Home Alone 1 with the paint cans and the iron and a bunch of new stuff too. But, and he makes that up. And then he goes to the toy store, tries to go into the toy store, and he sees that they're in the toy store. So he goes into the toy store, and he breaks in at first, and then the two guys go into the toy store, and they're robbing the toy store, and he sees them at the toy store, and he makes sure that they are not at the toy store anymore, and he makes sure that they're at the apartment, and once they get to the apartment, all the shenanigans happen. All the shenanigans. And meanwhile, as this is happening, Kevin's whole family is down at the hotel because they found out the card, his dad's card was missing. And so the police tracked it down. It's in New York at a hotel. And they go to this hotel and they're mad at the hotel manager because he did not make sure that he was at the hotel and he was just wandering the streets all alone in New York. And so that's happening. All this stuff's happening. Eventually, the two burglars go to jail, and he finds his family again. All this stuff. But what makes this so good is because it makes it improved upon the first movie is he's not alone at a house anymore. It's not just a limited space. No, he's alone in New York, one of the biggest cities in the world, and yeah. Pretty interesting in the way that they did it because he can go downtown to the store, he can go into the hotel, and you get the little hotel moments where he's outsmarting the guy at the hotel, the hotel manager guy, and then you got the little apartment, and then you got the little apartment scenes, kind of like the house scenes where it's all the tricks and mischievous stuff that he does there, and it's just really unique and really interesting to see that. And that's why it's very good. And the banter between Marv and Harry are phenomenal, yet again. Marv's the smart one, Harry's the dumb one. And then you also got the banter between the staff of the hotel, which was really interesting to see as well. So that's why Home Alone 2 is, my review on it is really, really good, and it's a really good movie, and I love it. Now we're going to go on to Jingle All the Way. We're moving chugging right along here. And Jingle All the Way is a movie, essentially, has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. The original one does, at least. And it's about this kid who is desperately wants a Turbo Man. And his dad agrees to go and get him Turbo Man after he missed his karate lessons. And he's been missing everything his child does because of work. And he agrees that he will get him the Turbo Man for Christmas. And the Turbo Man is this action figure that's a superhero action figure. It's got it shoots stuff, and it's the typical action figure, kind of like Buzz Lightyear, or an Iron Man action figure, with the lights and sound and all that stuff. And it's the hottest toy of the year, and it's Christmas Eve when he tries to get it, and he says to his wife, he's going to go and get it from work because his wife was like, you got the Turbo Man, right? She's like, yeah. He lies to her and says he got the Turbo Man. He's just going to go to the mall, or not the mall. He's going to go to his work and pick it up. And she says, make sure you be there for the parade. And he says, they'll definitely be there for the parade. And his kid was adamant that he be there on time for the parade. So he has to go and get the Turbo Man in a certain amount of time so that he can go back and he can go into the parade and watch it with his son and his wife. Because Turbo Man's supposed to be at the parade, and that's why the son's really excited for this year, because Turbo Man's supposed to make his big debut at the parade as the live-action guy in the parade. And so he goes in and he goes to one of the stores, one of the last stores that are selling Turbo Man's left. Everyone's there waiting for the store to open, and there's this mailman, right? And the mailman really wants a Turbo Man for his son as well, because his son really wants a Turbo Man. And his reasoning is his wife left him, and his son is just, really wants a Turbo Man, and he's not there for him all the time because he has to go mail stuff, big packages and all this other stuff. and he wants to get it for him so he doesn't be like a deadbeat father that really doesn't do anything for him. And yeah, and he goes over and talks with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're gonna call him that because I forgot what the guy's name was in the movie, like the main character. But his thing was he was talking to him about it, and he said maybe we could be like a team. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, the main character, goes, "No, no, no, no. I'm getting this for my son. I don't work. I work alone. I don't work together as teams. No." And he says, "Oh, that's how I want to be. Oh, really?" So then they have this little turf war basically where they're out trying to outsmart each other and trying to get a Turbo Man. And so all these wacky shenanigans ensue. Well, at like don't do that.
What?
Stop.
I'm watching TikTok.
Well, turn it off. That's very annoying. Sorry, that was my cameraman. He's being very annoying. But he was playing one of those like ear frequency things or whatever. But anyways, all these shenanigans happen. Like, they go to the store and everyone has the Turbo Man. It's all sold out, and he rips a cardboard guy of the Turbo Man. And then they go to the mall together. They both get one of those balls because they have like these like what do they call it? Ping pong balls that have like a number on it, and then the number will possibly get picked to get one of the last Turbo Mans. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger cons the mailman, and he gets 2 balls. He loses the 1 ball, and he's like, okay, it's fine, I have this other ball. And he loses the other ball, and it goes directly in his stroller of a little kid. So what does he do? He follows the kid around until they get to the playground area of the mall. And he goes and he follows the kid, and the kid has a toy and everything like that. And then he finally gets to the ball pit, and he really wants the ball that has a number on it, and he was about to grab it from the girl. And then the mom comes and slaps him on the face because, she was like assaulting his child or whatever. But he really wasn't. He was just trying to get the ball. And so he doesn't have the ball. So what does he do? He sees 2 Santas dressed up, and he goes over to the Santas, and they tell him that they can get him the Turbo Man doll, and he goes back to this like warehouse full of these like fake Santas, these like Santa Clauses, and there are all these different Santa Clauses, and he eventually agrees that he would fork over a lot of money for the Turbo Man, but it turns out it was the bilingual Turbo Man, and he says it was cheap, breaks easy, stuff like that, and it's bilingual, so his kid won't like it. And they said no refunds, and he was really, really mad because he calls them cheap and everything. And then he starts to fight them. But nope, that doesn't work out too well because in comes this really, really, really like big, muscular Santa guy. And they have like this all-out Santa fight. And then there's other shenanigans ensue, like at one point the cops are there because he keeps on messing up. He keeps on running red lights and all this other stuff, and the cops come, and he accidentally tips over the cop's motorcycle and hits his car at one point, all this other stuff. So the cops are chasing him down, and at one point there's a talk show. He goes in there, and they threaten to use a bomb because they said eventually they would get Turbo Man, and the post office man threatens to use a bomb. It really wasn't a bomb. But, all these shenanigans happen. All this other stuff happens. And eventually, he just gives up. And he goes home. And he goes home to see that his neighbor has a Turbo Man. His neighbor is a really jolly guy. He loves Christmas time. And, yeah. Alright, we're good. Still recording. But, he's really, really jolly. He really likes Christmas time. And, he's in the Christmas spirit. He eats the cookies and all the stuff like that. And he bakes cookies for people, everything like that. He's really nice. He bought his son a reindeer. He bought him a Turbo Man. There's a Turbo Man sitting underneath the tree, ready for his son for Christmas Day, right? So he goes and he decides to sneak into the neighbor's house and get the doll. And when he grabs the doll and he's about to go outside, he realizes that it isn't right. So he wants to go back over to the house and put the doll back under the tree. But the reindeer hates him for some reason, runs into the house, bursts in, breaks down the tree, and then the tree lands on the fire, sets the tree on fire, sets the whole entire house on fire, everything like that. And it makes him look really bad because it makes him look like he burnt the house down and he tried to steal the doll. And then his wife doesn't want anything to do with him. And they go to the parade without him. And his son was really sad because his dad called his wife on the house phone, and his son picked up, and he was like really adamant on him coming over. And he would just want to talk to his wife real quick, to talk to her, to say that he would be a little bit late to the thing, but he would make it. But his son didn't have it, and he was like talking to him about Turbo Man. Hey, will he be there? Turbo Man's gonna be there, all this stuff. And he was like, yeah, I don't want to hear nothing about Turbo Man. And then his dad just basically yells at him, and that's why the son thinks that he's not coming, is because he basically got in a fight with his dad, and his dad yelled at him, so he thinks that he's not coming back to see the thing because of that. And then so the dad is all really sad, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is just really sad, and he's at his house, and he looks at his pictures and stuff, and he's talking with the reindeer. He has the reindeer drink the booze and everything, and he just has a revelation. He says, from this point on, he's gonna make sure he's there for his son, and that's like his Christmas gift. It's not Turbo Man, not anything like that. No, he's gonna be there for his son. The first step is to go to the parade. So what does he do? He tries to go to the parade, but in comes the traffic. And he is in the middle of the traffic, and he can't go over there. And then he starts walking to the parade because he can't drive with the traffic. And eventually he goes into a place where there's a backstage area for one of the floats. And it's the producers and stuff, and they're saying like, oh, you're the guy, right? You're the guy for the being Turbo Man. They dress him up as Turbo Man, and then he goes out on the float as Turbo Man. And then what happens? The mailman is his arch enemy. I forget what the name of the arch enemy was, but and then they originally he was going to give Turbo Man to a kid, because you could pick a kid that you want to give to Turbo Man. He was going to give it to his son Jamie. That's the son's name, by the way. And then the mailman shows up as the villain, and he tries to steal the toy, and then in comes Turbo Man to save the day. He has like all his like powers, from the TV show, and he saves the day. And then the mailman says he's sorry. They forgive the mailman. The kid gives the mailman the Turbo Man, and he's like, "Why did you give him the Turbo Man? I thought I was going to give you the Turbo Man." He says, "It's all right. I have my dad as a Turbo Man," and it was really, really sweet moment there. And yeah, that's basically the movie. And why it's so good of a movie is they made a small plot of getting a toy for his son, and it's like all sold out everywhere, and he's trying to go and get it before he can go to the parade and like get it in a certain amount of time. And they took that plot and they expanded it and make all these like ridiculous things that he has to do to go and try to get a toy. All these ridiculous things that he does, and it's really funny. Laugh out loud, funny. Not like slapstick funny, like Home Alone, but just funny enough that it just makes you like laugh out loud. And you got the rivalry between him and the mailman. Like they're like friends kind of, but then they're not friends, and then they're friends again, but then they're not friends. And they realize that they shouldn't be worried about getting the toy that much. It's more about the family, stuff like that. And it's real. It gets you at the heartstrings with the whole you stole the Turbo Man, you were going to try to steal it from the neighbor, and then they didn't want anything to do with him. It's just all around really good, really interesting movie. And it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, so who wouldn't watch that as a Christmas movie, you know? That's why it's such a good movie. Now, finally, we're moving on to A Christmas Story. So, we're going to be reviewing The Christmas Story finally. And so, the Christmas Story, this is even more of a classic than Home Alone. Excuse me. So, The Christmas Story, if you've been living under a rock, this is more of a rock. It's more if you were living under a boulder. A boulder if you haven't seen A Christmas Story. A boulder. You were like the Grinch if you haven't seen this movie. But, so basically A Christmas Story is about, for people who've been living under a boulder, it's about this kid named Ralph and his family. And Ralph really wants this carbon fiber gun. And he's been trying to be good all year long to get this gun, you know, carbon fiber Ranger gun. And there's lots of stuff that's ensues. And it's not like slapstick funny or anything like that. Like some of it is, but it's just more like, oh, he went to school, right? So he goes to school and he's all excited because he's turning in his essay that he wrote, and his essay is like about what you want for Christmas, and he says he wants the red carbon fiber, you know, gun, the BB rifle. And he writes this like elaborate thing. He writes how he wants it and how it's carbon fiber and it shoots really good and all this other stuff. And he turns it in to the teacher and he thinks, oh man, this is an award-winning essay. He imagines that his teacher's like, oh wow, this is so good. You'll definitely get the gun. And he gets the letter, he gets the thing back, and it's a B, because instead of an A, plus, 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 like he imagined, he imagined her saying A, plus, 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 and everyone was cheering him on, like, woo, 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 woo. And, no, so he gets a B because she writes on the thing, she writes, you'll shoot your eye out. And that's the whole running joke of the whole entire movie is everyone says you'll shoot your eye out. Like his dad goes, you'll shoot your eye out, you know, son, you'll shoot your eye out if you have that. His mom says, oh no, you can't get that, you'll shoot your eye out. And he goes and, you know, he goes and sits on Santa's lap at the mall finally. He's been waiting and waiting and waiting to go and see Santa. And he sits on Santa's lap. And he says, you'll shoot your eye out. And then he shoots him down the slide, all the way down the slide. And, yeah, even Santa himself, you know, Santa, is not really the actual Santa in that movie, but, you know, Santa in that movie says, you'll shoot your eye out, kid. And, yeah, everyone's been saying that he'll shoot his eye out. But there's other stuff that happens, too. Like, in the movie, for instance, his dad wins a contest, and he's super, super, super excited about it, right? So his dad is all happy that he won this contest, and he gets to win his prize. He says, oh man, I'm so excited about the prize. And the prize comes in, he says, oh, it's for Gile. And he says, Italian. They say, I think it says fragile. He says, oh, yeah. And then he gets the prize, and it's a leg. The lamp. It's a leg lamp. And it's a very, very sexualized lamp, which is the funniest thing ever, because he's all excited about it. He wants to put his lamp on display, but it's this like sexualized like showgirl lamp, you know? It's got like the stockings and the everything like that. And, yeah, it's pretty funny. It's so funny that they made a musical for it. And, you know, they had a whole, like, song about the lamp. They had, like, a whole musical number about the lamp. It was pretty funny. And, also, the kid goes to school, and he beats up another kid that was the bully. He just had enough of it. He started wailing him, beating him up, and he got in trouble for it. And then he also said the biggest word, you know, the F word. He said fudge, but it wasn't actually fudge. You know, the F word. And he gets in trouble. He gets in trouble for that. And he blames it on his friend, whose mom just beats the crap out of him. Yeah, pretty bad. Pretty messed up. But, and then towards the end of the movie, they're trying to have this big turkey dinner, you know. And in come the barking hounds, the dogs and everything. And, yeah. They eat all the turkey up. And, then they have to go to a restaurant. And they go to a Japanese restaurant. And they have duck. They have duck for Thanksgiving. And they sing fa la 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 wrong. They sing fra ra 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 instead of fa la la la. And, what are you doing? Oh, okay. Anyways, my cameraman's being weird right now. He's being pretty weird. What are you? Weirdo. Anyways. But, it's pretty timeless. Hey, can you stop? What? It's pretty anyways, it's a pretty timeless movie. You know, it's got a lot of charm to it. And, you know, the whole leg thing was hilarious, pretty funny. And, yeah. And, there's memorable quotes in it, like, you'll shoot your eye out and stuff. No, stop! Stop. And, yeah, it's, you know, why I like, Can you stop? You're ruining the video.
I'm not ruining the video.
Yes, you are. You're turning off the light and turning it back on, all this other crap. Can you stop? Please?
I'm not ruining the video.
Please.
You're ruining the video by acknowledging it.
Please. But, sorry about that. He's, ruining the video.
Can you not yell? It's like 9.
Anyways, yeah, so that's my reviewing of Home Alone 1 and 2, A Christmas Story, and, Jingle All the Way. But, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video, so make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And, hopefully you're enjoying these videos with just me in it, because since Charlie's not here, he's, like, either, like, sick or something came up, and, so he's not here for the time being. So hopefully you're enjoying the videos, you know. I hope that you liked Vic the Viking in the first video, you know, hopefully you liked me reading Christmas Story, and hopefully you like this video. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow, you know, for another video. I don't know what type of video it's going to be, you know. Maybe it'll be like singing a Christmas song, or I don't know. Maybe like building a gingerbread house or something like that. But, yeah, so I'll see you guys tomorrow, and peace out, punters, and, yeah. That's, reviewing 4 Christmas movies, guys. 4. What are you doing? Stop. Just stop, okay? No, stop. We're ending the video. Stop. No, hey, whoa, stop. No. Excuse me. What? Why are you clapping? Why are you clapping? What? I don't understand. You're going like this. Alright, just end the video. This is getting awkward.